Hello, welcome to my not so medieval kitchen. I am Evert and together with Angelina I prepared a menu for you called a homely feast. Today's recipe is a mushroom pasty plate. For this recipe you will need about 700 grams of shortcrust pastry or 450 grams if you don't want a lid, 450 grams of mushrooms, salt for water, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 70 to 100 grams of grated cheddar cheese. And for the seasoning you will need an 1/8 teaspoon of ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of dry mustard powder. First I will start with the lining of the pie. As I'm going to use a lid on the pie, I will grab 1/3 of the dough I prepared and keep that behind. The other 2/3 I will roll out into a nice disc. The next step is putting a bit of parchment paper into the dish and put the dough into the dish. The dough we're using today is a scaled up version of the one we use for quiches more often. In this case we're using 450 grams of flour, 225 grams of butter, 2 eggs, a little bit of salt and a few splashes of water depending on whatever the dough wants. Hard and cool. And I've put a pan with water and a bit of salt on the fire in order to bring it to a boil, in which I will parboil the mushrooms in batches. This only takes a few seconds per batch, but it will already cook the mushrooms a little bit. So the mushrooms are all boiled now, and the next step is to dry them off on a bit of paper towels before you can cut them up into slices. So we're just making them dry on the outside, squeezing them a very tiny bit but not too much. We don't want to get all the juices out, but we want the outside to be as dry as possible. Now that the mushrooms are dry and cut into slices, rough slices, we will add the cheese, the mustard powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, a bit of black pepper, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And we will mix this well into a nice mixture. This we can put into the pie, after which we will make the lid. For the lid we want to do the same thing as we did for the dough around the filling, however we'll just want to make a smaller circle disc out of the 1/3 that was left over. So now we'll grab the pie, put the lid on, and we'll just treat it with the sides. This will nicely close off the pie on the outside. Now that we have a lid on it, all we want to do before putting it in the oven is put a little egg wash on it, score the upper part in order to give it a place where air can come out, and then we can put it in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. Now scoring, in this case nicely in the middle, and we just open up the flap a little bit. The egg wash will also help with giving it a nice and golden crust. So the pie is now ready to be taken out of the oven. It took in this case about 45 minutes, a bit longer than expected, but that's what you get with ovens. As you can see, we have a nice brown crust, and the fluids are still boiling a little bit inside, and it looks well cooked. We can also stick a skewer in to quickly test the dough, which seems to come out clear. I hope you'll enjoy the recipe, and thank you for watching.